Hello, Ronald Warren here. Well, America just experienced an interesting election. Regardless of where you are on the political spectrum, or what your thoughts may be about the election itself, it appears very likely that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will occupy the White House in January. So for me, this is a red dot moment. You know when you go to the mall, you go and find the big map, and it has a red dot on it that says, "You are here." It doesn't say, "You shouldn't be here," or "How did you get here?" It just says, "You are here." And it's important for you to know where you are so that you can get to where you want to go. So, in that spirit, let's explore a little bit about what a Biden-Harris administration could mean for CareNet and the life issue in general. Let's have a red dot moment. I think the best place to start is with the platform of the Democratic Party that Biden and Harris represent. After all, the platform states what the party and its members believe about an issue and how they plan to address it when in power. So here it is, word for word, much of the Democratic Party's platform on abortion. And I quote, "We believe unequivocally, like the majority of Americans, that every woman should be able to access high-quality reproductive health care services, including safe and legal abortion. We will repeal the Title X domestic gag rule and restore federal funding for Planned Parenthood, which provides vital preventive and reproductive health care for millions of people. Democrats oppose and will fight to overturn federal and state laws that create barriers to reproductive health and rights. We will repeal the Hyde Amendment and protect and codify the right to reproductive freedom. Democrats oppose restrictions on medication abortion care that are inconsistent with the most recent medical and scientific evidence and that do not protect the public health." So, what does this mean? Well, in short, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will look to overturn many of the restrictions that were put in place by the Trump administration. Some that were designed to protect the unborn from abortion, and others designed to ensure that mothers had access to information about alternatives to abortion. The Democratic Party's goal, per the platform, is to ensure that there are no barriers whatsoever to abortion, up to and including making sure that taxpayers are forced to pay for abortion through the repeal of the Hyde Amendment. So, from a policy perspective, it's pretty clear that the Biden-Harris administration will push policies to promote and protect abortion. But what about Biden and Harris themselves? One might argue that they don't necessarily believe everything in the party's platform. Well, let's start with Kamala Harris. When Kamala Harris was Attorney General of California, she did two things that revealed her position on abortion. First, in 2015, California passed the Reproductive Fact Act, a bill that forced life-affirming pregnancy centers, and only pregnancy centers, to promote abortion. The fines for not complying with this new law were so exorbitant that they would put pregnancy centers, including many CareNet affiliates, out of business had they not complied. The law would have forced them to choose between violating their strongly held beliefs about abortion or effectively putting themselves out of business by defying the law. An organization called NIFLA fought the bill, and Attorney General Harris and her allies defended it and won at the state and district court levels. Fortunately, when the case was heard by the Supreme Court, where CareNet filed a friend of the court brief on behalf of NIFLA, NIFLA prevailed. The case was known then as NIFLA v. Becerra, the new Attorney General. The law was overturned for being an unconstitutional violation of free speech, but the cat was already out of the bag, as then Attorney General Harris showed that she was a strident champion of a bill designed specifically to restrict and close pregnancy centers. Harris's second act as Attorney General of California came in 2015 as well, when the organization called the Center for Medical Progress, led by David Daleiden, released secretly recorded videos that exposed Planned Parenthood employees appearing to be selling fetal remains for profit, which is illegal. What was Attorney General Kamala Harris's response? Rather than investigating to determine if these very serious charges against Planned Parenthood were true, she worked hard to punish the whistleblower. Evidence suggested that she worked hand in hand with Planned Parenthood itself to protect the abortion industry giant while using the levers of the power in California to prosecute Daleiden and his relatively small organization. From these two examples, it's clear where soon-to-be Vice President Harris stands on the abortion issue. Well, what about Joe Biden? I think the most important thing to understand when it comes to his views on abortion is something that he said at the first presidential debate. When pressed about his position on health care, he said, "Right now, I am the Democratic Party. The platform of the Democratic Party is what I, in fact, approve of." Well, there you have it. Read the Democratic Party's platform on abortion and you will know what Joe Biden believes, including his reversal on the Hyde Amendment, which he used to support. So what does this mean for CareNet? In short, the Biden-Harris administration will create a hostile environment for us to operate in. Kamala Harris, with her history of attacking pregnancy centers, will likely bring her policy people and her perspective to Washington, D.C. There, they will undoubtedly try to make it harder for us to do what we do: save unborn lives and build strong families. Biden and Harris's allies in the abortion industry are looking for a return on their investment. They spent a lot of money working to get them elected, and they want results. Planned Parenthood, NARAL, and others will be emboldened to step up their misguided attacks on pregnancy centers, and unfortunately, those attacks may have a better chance of creating real problems for us and our affiliates. States may be encouraged to pass laws similar to California's FACT Act, using what they learned from Harris's defense of the bill in California to draft bills that could pass constitutional muster, but still be disastrous for pregnancy centers. All this makes CareNet's work more urgent than ever. It doesn't change our work. Our work of providing Christ's compassion, hope, and help to women and men considering abortion does not change based on who is in the White House. But the urgency and difficulty of this work can and does change, and the next 4 years will be challenging. The White House can send powerful messages to the culture about what is and isn't important. The message that they will send about abortion is that it's a public good that women want and need and are entitled to, that it is a rite of passage of sorts for American women. In that kind of environment, providing life-affirming alternatives to abortion become more difficult and urgent. Clearly, a Biden-Harris administration will create a different result than the current administration from a cultural and political perspective. But we are prepared, and we have you. Indeed, I ask you to pray for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, that they, like Saul who became Paul, would have a Damascus Road experience that leads them out of the darkness of supporting abortion and into the marvelous life-affirming light. Amen? You see, there is political power, there is cultural power, and then there is Jesus' power, and no one can take that away from us. Amen? Until next time, may God bless you daily as you serve Him faithfully.